Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Burning Questions, brought to you by Fantasy Football Scout, sponsored by NordVPN. My name is Tom, and today I'm joined by FPL Harry, as usual. First time we've chatted in a little while. Harry, how are you? How was game week?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for hosting. I've been running around this morning, so I appreciate that. I think it's the first time that we have streamed since we both played our wildcards a couple of weeks ago, and I feel like a lot has changed since we've last spoken. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. Doubles coming, chips coming, lots of exciting stuff. I have recently moved house, so I've yet to unpack my light. That's why I look a bit weird. And also, this is brand new Wi-Fi, so I'm hoping everything's fine. It should be a good test for it today.
It looks good.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We will start with your team in 31, Harry. You 66, assistant manager active. Do you want to talk us through it?
Yeah, so quite a good week in the end, thanks to Newcastle. So Jacob Murphy, no captain Isak, and Eddie Howe on Monday night. Outside of that, Gvardiol's 9 was nice, although I had Foden and Marmoush in that game as well. So to only come away with those three with 12 points, I was expecting more, but Gvardiol's return is nice. Munoz with 8. Outside of that there wasn't very much. So, listen, first week of assistant manager, plan to keep it on Eddie Howe again this week. I'm absolutely happy with that. But I have to say, I've got a few players in my team who are playing less minutes than I thought they would and are definitely concerned this weekend as well in particular.
Yeah. Munoz coming in again. That's good stuff.
Oh, this guy, honestly. Probably my FPL pick of the season. I just think he's been incredible. He's such a good price. Even when they don't keep clean sheets, he's up there scoring goals, getting assists. So, this guy's flying. If only Sarr could do something equal or anywhere near what Munoz is doing. If he could have a shot at some point across the double, that would be ideal. Because since I brought him in on wildcard 30, he hasn't had a single shot. So, if he could start shooting a bit more, that would be great.
Yeah, and Eddie Howe, was that an easy decision?
So I didn't think I was going to do it at all. Like when I wildcarded, the plan was definitely not Howe. It was either Glasner or it was going to be Emery if Emery had table bonus against Forest. And Villa beating Brighton killed assistant manager for so many of us because Brighton and Forest both would have had table bonus at the weekend. Palace and Villa would have had table bonus and both of them won. So that would have been 2 20-pointers, which we could have had on assistant manager. But because they didn't, I decided to go somewhere else. And because I was going to have to sell Gabriel, part of the reason I didn't want to go Eddie Howe is I didn't know where I was going to have the assistant manager in game week 33 when the double came. But because Gabriel was out, I then had the Arsenal spot open if I wanted it to. So I then freed up the Arsenal spot, freed up a Newcastle spot, and went Eddie Howe with a plan to go Arteta in 33. So it wasn't what I was planning, but as soon as Gabriel was out and I saw that option, it looked more straightforward. Yeah,
makes sense. Okay, we will move on to my Game Week 31 team. JH in the chat saying he's a sad non-Murphy owner. Well, I'm a sad Murphy bencher, essentially. Decision between Murphy and Sarr. In hindsight, I probably didn't think as much as I should have done about that. Not too much else to say. It was a green arrow, that's the positive, but it wasn't as big as it could have been. Bowen, Gvardiol, Trippier, Munoz all coming in, Mateta as well. Captained Isak at 10:58 on Saturday morning, but it didn't make a difference in the end. But
how were your emotions over that 24 hours after Salah blanked and then the Isak rumours that he wasn't going to play?
Yeah.
And then he does play, and then
Isak
playing actually would have been really good for you.
Yeah, it would have
in
been.
The end.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a point in that afternoon where I was saying, oh, well, I've got Murphy, that's fine. When Isak was supposedly out, but it was a shame.
It was weird as someone who didn't captain Isak. I actually really wanted him to play because I only gained 1 point from that, and I just knew the downside of auto subs. I posted on Twitter, so many people had Rodgers first sub, 9-pointer, plus everyone getting their vice captains in as well. I think I lost like a net 6 points just straight away, and that was equivalent to like an Isak hat trick. And I was like, I'd rather take the chance that Isak scores a hat trick than get the auto sub. So from being in a point where I didn't want him to play, I actually realised that it was probably better for me if he did. And of course, with Eddie Howe, I suppose they were more likely to win when he did play. So if only they could have scored a few more goals, but I'll take it.
Yeah, and then Trippier over Livramento has cost me a little bit as well, unfortunately.
Yeah, just
probably a case of spending the money, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the only thing I was going to say. A little bit of spending the money because you had it, but I do think Trippier was worth the upside if you had the money spare to try and take the chance on it. I think Livramento and Burn both have their upsides, but I think if they were all the same price, like we all would have gone Trippier. So yeah, if you had the money, I can see why you did it.
Yeah, but anyway, and then there was the whole thing about Livramento left back, Dan Burn left back, etc. Mr. B in the chat, can anyone tell me why Shah got the assist? That's because the shot hit the bar, basically.
Yeah, because it goes down as a shot. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Well, we'll get rid of my team. I think I've looked at Murphy's points enough.
It was just so obvious that Shah was going to get a return when everyone picked all the other defenders, basically.
Yeah, and
Livramento also got one, but still, it was just so obvious that Shah was finally going to get back in the points.
Yeah.
It was definitely going to happen.
Yeah, anyway. But yeah, I haven't really spoken since my wildcard, so I basically backed West Ham for a 33 bench boost. That's why I went Bowen,
it's nice.
Wan-Bissaka, Areola. Bowen's goal was nice against Bournemouth.
You're basically going to have, 11 or 12 doublers plus triple West Ham at home Southampton. Looks great for next week.
Yeah, I think it's 9 doublers, but because I've got Salah and Isak.
Oh, okay, fine. 9 doublers. Fine. Still pretty good though.
Yeah,
Salah, Isak, triple West Ham. It looks pretty good.
And then Bradley, yeah. And I will be putting Bowen on the bench because I think you'd play Isak over Bowen. I'm not having arguments with that.
You
Isak's
wouldn't play Isak over Bowen.
But when would you
Bowen
ever
at home
bench
Southampton?
Isak? But when would you ever bench Isak?
We can talk about it next week, but...
okay, well, maybe there's a...
Bowen at home Southampton, you wouldn't play...
Anyway, but yeah, so on the show today, we will set the context of the next few weeks, looking at the fixtures and then the fixture spacing, and then we will chat about all 5 double teams in detail and pick out the best options, and then we'll reveal our teams and chat a little bit about assistant manager for Harry. See what he's going to do with that. So let's bring up the ticker from Harry's YouTube graphics. Right at the top there is Palace with double, even if the fixtures aren't the best. I guess we're no point.
I'm just waiting for it to...
Yeah, that's all right.
Come on. So I suppose the fixture ticker looks a little bit different depending on what your free hit strategy is. So like here, you've got one including game week 34. If you're not playing your free hit, but if you are playing your free hit, then you just have to completely ignore that. So for example, up in, Wolves, for example, look quite popular because they've got Leicester at home in 34, but they're much less important to those of us with a free hit. Whereas if you don't have the free hit, there might be a team that you start to look at, someone like Strand Larsen. It's basically the teams with a double, and then it's Brentford and Forest outside of that have got nice fixtures. The others quite high up. United, just massively focused on Europe. You've got Liverpool, their last few are quite difficult, but the next few are pretty good, but no double. So yeah, the doubling teams is really where most of our transfers are. It's just a little bit of, if you've already got all your doublers in place, like where do you go? Like which teams do you look at outside of them? If we're going to focus mainly on the doublers, again, like it's probably Forest and Brentford are the two that stand out to me if I'm not buying a doubler that I'd probably buy. Like Brentford's not great this week away at Arsenal, but after that, they have a pretty nice run in.
Yeah, so you've got Mbumo there, and then Forest, you were saying, I guess that's a Gabriel replacement. It's an easy Gabriel replacement for people. It's a shame they don't have a good 33 for my bench boost. If Everton was 33, I'd probably go there, but...
That's why some people looked at 32 bench boosts, right? You could go Forest, you could go Brighton in there as well, like Liverpool, and a lot of the doublers do have a good fixture this week. So, Yeah, yeah. There's a few teams in there, but yeah, it is mainly the ones with a double. Because I think I put a poll out that 85% of people are free hitting in game week 34. So
Yeah,
there's so many people free hitting that week that mainly most of us can ignore it.
yeah, it'll be a fun week that week. And then just, yeah, you talked about Liverpool there. Do you think Salah will be in our teams for the rest of the season?
I mean, I don't know where I'm going to spend the money, if I'm honest.
Would it be a Haaland
Yes.
36 double? Be the
I
only...
mean, if Haaland's back, but...
He's not back, yeah, of course not, yeah.
Like, if he's back, then yeah, maybe we have to sell, like, Salah to try and get Haaland in, but I just am not certain we're going to know reliably that he's going to play enough minutes across that double. It just doesn't seem very likely at the moment. So if that's not the case, like, look at Chelsea, they're right towards the bottom of this. Yes, they've got a couple of nice fixtures, but then after that, Liverpool, Newcastle, Man United and Forest on the final day. So I still think I'd rather Salah than most of those others across that end of the season. So as bad as he has been recently, I can't see him going anywhere.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, cool. So we'll put that into a little bit more context thanks to Lego Mane's table,
Yes.
which shows the spacing between games and the club's European assignments and FA Cup games. So you can see a second there for the podcast listeners. Just obviously Arsenal are the sort of main concern with Europe. Small spacing, then a double, then potentially more Europe, around 35. Villa as well, of interest this weekend, playing Southampton either side of PSG. With PSG either side is a big concern. Chelsea probably less of a concern. I think we might have seen the last of the Premier League messing about, if I'm honest. Because I don't know what you
Arsenal...
think, but I'd be shocked if Palmer missed another league game.
I expect him to start on Thursday, but I also expect him to start Ipswich, I think, is probably where I'm at. I think it's more just returning from injury than anything else. I think particularly on this, it's Arsenal and Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Like, both looking this week, but we've now got to add, so this doesn't have the potential semi-final for Arsenal if they do get to it, which will be before and after that Bournemouth game in game week 35. So not only are we worrying about Arsenal players' minutes this week, but you've then also got to think about them as a potential risk for game week 35 in between a semi-final and 3-0 up if they get through.
You can see it says Europe in white letters there where it will be.
The good thing about Arsenal is they don't have an FA Cup game. So after that Palace game, they do have a free weekend before potentially a Champions League semi-final. But then you just look at Villa, and so many questions at the moment about Villa defenders, about Villa midfielders, Watkins. They play Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, with 2 games against PSG and Southampton in the middle. And then they play Newcastle, Man City, and then they play an FA Cup semi-final at Wembley against Crystal Palace as well. That Southampton game is obviously the least important game that Aston Villa have left this season. It just cannot be any less important to them, I would say, for most of their star players. I wouldn't be surprised if they make 8-9 changes in that game again.
I do agree with you, and I think we're both going to come to the conclusion not to recommend buying Villa this week, but I think it's probably a little bit more important than you say, because they're still unlikely to win the Champions League and they want to get in it again.
Yeah, but I think they can win that game without...
of course,
that. It's more that, like, I think it's the least important for all of their star players to start than the other games.
And they've got such a good squad now.
Yeah.
Probably the one exception would be Marlon, if you happen to be on a bench boost, because he's not in the Champions League squad. If you needed a cheap player, he's probably the one that you can say will start.
Yeah. And it probably boosts his minutes across the double. The issue with it, though, is if we get to 35 and they're out of the Champions League, he's then the worst of the lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, I can understand people wanting to go with Marlon now, but if they lose to PSG, which in theory is what's predicted, we get to game week 35, you'll be selling Marlon straight away because he's definitely not in their first choice lineup. So He's good short term, but he's a bit of an issue long term. I went Konza. I thought he was going to be the only one who's safe, and not even he's safe. I should have just bought Luca Dean instead.
Yeah. But yeah, so we talked about Arsenal, Villa, Palace. They have quite short spacing, but this may be tested around the semi-final, but they never rotate, basically. Glasner never rotates. Like, you've seen Sars plays every game in the doubles. Nketiah is now suspended, so he can't come in.
Yeah.
Like, Munoz doesn't really have a backup.
Mm-hmm. I just worry about that Arsenal game.
So that is the final 33.
Final double of 33. So they play... So they're about to play weekend, midweek, weekend, midweek, weekend, with that last one being the FA Cup semi-final. That Arsenal away game does just feel a little bit like...
Are they Saturday or Sunday, FA Cup?
Saturday, so they play Wednesday, Saturday.
Sunday, yeah.
I know they don't rotate very much, but I look at that Arsenal game, and that's actually, I mean, I might be trying to convince myself, but that's actually why I don't particularly want Glasner, and I'm quite happy with going the Arteta route, because that FA Cup game, again, is just so much more important to Palace than that Arsenal away game.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
not saying they're going to...
You know?
Exactly. Like, I just think we'll see, like, Nathaniel Klein will probably start, like, Nketiah will probably get a start, like, Kamar, like, I just think they'll rotate.
I'm not sure mass. I think maybe 2 or 3. I'm not convinced there's anyone who can sub for Munoz, though.
No, his minutes are, and his fitness is crazy good. And I think Adam Wharton did an interview where he was talking about him, just like, I wish I could run the way this guy does. I think that's probably right, but it's also the fact that it's four games. If the midweek before was free, it would be something different. But the fact that it's like 5 games in like just over 2 weeks, that's what worries me. Because if they played like a single in 32 and then had a full week off, they could play a full lineup for 3 games in a row. But it's now 5 games in just over like 2 weeks, which again, like, yeah, Chilwell in for Mitchell for Arsenal, like, yeah, like, it just seems very reasonable.
The thing is, though, like, what happens if Mateta, you know, what if he comes off on 60 both games, which Glasner has sort of done?
Yeah, like, that's possible. He could play 60 against Arsenal.
But yeah, I was just speculating, really. But
I just think that there are a lot of teams that we're wanting to buy at the moment who have a lot of eggs in other baskets for some of the games we're buying them for.
Yeah.
And this isn't saying they're bad buys, because, like, you still want to own Palace across the double-double. So, like, what are we going to do about it? Like, even if you told you
you're not selling
the Palace players started 3 out of 4 across the double-double, you'd still own them, right? Yeah. It's the same with the others. So, but it's just tempering expectations, I think.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And just before, because obviously Chelsea don't double, so we won't talk about them again, but just to cover off Colwill and Cucurella.
I've no idea why they didn't start.
Yeah, I mean, my thought initially was Tosin is tall and Brentford do a lot of crosses. But
who did we play at left back? Gusto?
James was left back. Having said that, I didn't watch the game, but I'm pretty sure I heard that on the radio.
Like, I don't get... I understand a little bit the Palmer and Jackson one's coming back from injury, but I just... yeah.
So,
I don't get it.
Because I was chatting to FPL General for a video, and he is bench boosting Colwill this week.
I mean, I expect them to start, but I thought they'd play Brentford, so...
Yeah, that's what I said, really.
Yeah.
I guess the hope would be we win 3-0 tomorrow.
Yeah, let's see minutes on Thursday night.
Yeah.
It's annoying to caveat stuff, but it's the same with Villa players, right? Because Rashford and Luca Dean are also on a yellow card suspension away in the Champions League. So if Rashford or Dean get booked, their minutes across the next 2 games suddenly shoot up because they're not going to play the next PSG game.
That is an interesting shout on Dean, especially.
I just wish I'd gone Dean over Konza. I was hearing, I think it was Above Average was saying they've kept 4 clean sheets this year. Apparently they've kept like 7 clean sheets in their last like 45 games or something. It's like, why did we bother?
It's almost as bad as ours, surely.
I think it's worse than us. I'm pretty sure it is.
Sanchez on fire at the minute. Anyway, yeah, so we will move on to the double teams, starting with Newcastle. For the podcast, I've just got the squad list on screen. I accidentally cut Isak off the top, but I don't think he needs discussing anyway. And then the two fixtures, Man United and Palace. I guess we can park Isak. Just Hal said we don't need to manage his minutes anymore. Hal basically said he's fully fit, and despite all the murmurings, Isak keeps starting. So I think you can safely triple captain Isak. Do you agree?
Yeah, so I think let's start with the triple captain. I think the idea of saving it for 36 is not something I'd do, because I think there's too much risk that we don't get a double in 36. That I wouldn't run that risk, especially when you've got Isak with 2 home games. Now, if Spurs, for example, go and win 2-0 on Thursday night, and it will slightly increase the chance of a double in 36 because the chance of Spurs continuing in the Europa goes up, then maybe you could think about it. But I still would say, if you're playing a chip in 33, I would play it on Isak this week.
You've got it. A chip in 33, sorry.
If you're playing a chip in 33, I would definitely play it this week. Yeah. If you're not playing another chip, then you could play it next week. But I still don't think the 33 options are better than Isak this week.
It's Marmoush, because it's not Saka, is it? Realistically.
Probably not, no.
So it's Marmoush, isn't it?
Everton away, Villa at home.
I mean, it could be worse.
Yeah,
I'd
play it on Isak.
Isak is Mr. Consistent, and rightly or wrongly, the fact he blanked against Leicester just makes me even more confident he's going to come back.
I'd play it. You're playing it this week, right?
Yeah, no doubt. As soon as Hal said he's fine. Yeah, no issues with that.
The other benefit is that Man United game. Man United play Thursday night, and then we'll play the Thursday after this as well. So yeah, that's I suppose a benefit to that game as well.
Yeah, the one thing, Palace, I think, are they the best? Certainly before 31, they were the best XGC the last 6 defensively.
Oh, good stuff.
But yeah, it's not going to change my mind, but it's just maybe not expecting massive returns. The first fixture is probably the best fixture.
Yeah. I mean, Palace are a good side. I understand not wanting to play it against them, but I just don't massively look and think there's a much better opportunity.
No, and especially now Haaland's injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Isak missed consistent. Last 2 home games, he's got 3 goals. Repeat of that would be perfect. But yeah, and then moving on, I guess we got to talk about Murphy again. He is. I mean, if you say you don't own Murphy, he's probably a priority buy ahead of Rodgers, I would suggest.
Yes, I would say so.
And ahead of Sarr, maybe.
No, see, I'd buy Palace first before I bought Murphy. Again, it depends a little bit on chip strategy, but if we're assuming everyone's free hitting 30, if you're not free hitting 34, then Newcastle are really important because they play Ipswich at home that week, so really important. If you're not free hitting 34, I think Palace are more important because they've got the double-double, and the Palace fixtures from 35 onwards are pretty good. They play Forest at home, Spurs away, Wolves at home, and if Spurs are still in Europe, do you think Spurs are particularly going to care about Palace Palace away or Palace at home just after Europa League semi-final?
Well, regardless if they care or not, I think Palace will still beat them anyway.
So I think Palace are the most important. Outside of that, Isak top. I think Murphy's probably second.
Yeah, I mean he's nailed at the end of the day. He's going to start twice and he's in good form. It's best ever FPL season. I should have had this conversation last week, but.
The issue is Gordon I think Gordon's gone.
I was just going to say the quote. It's sort of it was very hopeful. Hal saying we hope, but we don't know. It's inconclusive. And you'd think when they're playing well, he'd probably be on the bench first, possibly. Barnes scoring again.
I would be surprised if we get enough minutes out of the double from Gordon, regardless now. But I also don't think I'd buy Harvey Barnes either.
No,
I don't see a world where you buy Harvey Barnes over Murphy, unless you just want to be differential for the sake of it. But Gordon will take that spot back eventually when he comes back. So, Murphy feels like pretty much a no-brainer. I think he's already risen once this week. He'll probably rise at least once more. With the double. Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting 16 points, but the other good thing I was going to say, with Gordon out, his minutes go up. His minutes are being managed as much as Isak's are at the moment. It's kind of because he just has to play, like they don't have another option. So
Yeah,
once
he started every game since game week 14.
He has, but he played, 71 this week, 65 the week before, and then it was a couple of 90s. But I do think we might see that. It might depend a little bit on how the game's going, right? Because they're 3-0 up. They can take Murphy off. They can take that off. But just interesting with Brentford at home. I think it was 1-1 when they came off. And Isak and Murphy came off. It's just something to note. But yeah, I think you've got to have him.
Yeah, easy enough. And then defensively, there are 4 to choose from. The starting back 4 plus Pope, I suppose. But people probably have their keeper in situ. I guess if you didn't, I don't know, is there a world you're not going to buy Pope this week, are you? Just to cover that
I'd be surprised.
Yeah, because you'd be looking ahead to 34. So yeah, there's 4 defenders. The data did a tweet about it this morning on the FFS account. Livramento he's top for everything over the last 6. XGI, big chances created, penalty box touches, and points. Shah's top for shots actually, but I think that's more sort of long range as we saw. But
yeah,
I think it's probably got to be Livramento. Having said that, I've got Trippier, but if I was buying this week, I'd go Livramento.
I think it's really close between Livramento and Burn. I know that the assist for the goal on Monday night means that Livramento is probably the obvious choice, but I still look at them and think if there's one defender in there who's going to deliver a 15-pointer, it's like Burn or Shah, and I'm not spending the money on Shah. So I still don't mind the Burn pick. There's no way I'd move between them.
No.
I part of me would still go Burn and just hope he scores, because that 15-pointer, I don't see Livramento's goal threat being that high.
No, that's fair. The thing with Burnley, he is obviously on 8 yellows, so he'd have to get booked. It's probably unlikely. I'd probably take the risk, but if he gets booked twice, he will miss.
He has to get booked in the next 2 games
in the double,
because it resets.
Yeah.
So then it's kind of irrelevant.
So I guess and that would be a 2-game ban. So
he'd miss 34.
If
so
you
if
weren't
you're not
free
hitting
hitting,
34,
yeah, it's a
it might not.
risk.
But yeah, I'd be surprised.
Yeah. So
and like if he gets booked in this game, and he knows he's 1 game away, and like he's just not getting booked against Palace, like it's just not going to happen.
No,
so
no,
I wouldn't worry about that now.
He's probably more protected as well, isn't he?
I would say Livramento's the obvious choice, but part of me would just go Burn.
Any love for Trippier if you sort of had Gabriel money? There's not very much.
No,
point.
not really. I just think the money will be more useful. Like it might not be useful now, but it'll be useful at some point, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the Newcastle buys are reasonably straightforward. And most of us have already got it. Not really.
No.
Like if you wanted to punt, a Bruno Guimaraes, a Joe Linton, a Harvey Barnes, but I just don't see that they're better than Murphy in any way.
No, Barnes is probably the one he could score more than Murphy. It wouldn't be shocking if he scored more than Murphy.
No, and he played a lot of minutes.
Yeah,
I think he played.
He played 90.
Did he play 90? Yeah. So
his minutes per return, he's got 9 returns in 9 starts. If he plays twice, he'll get points. It's just
that's the thing. He played 90 against Brentford and Leicester, whereas Murphy's playing 70. Like if Gordon was confirmed out, then you could go there.
Yeah, don't mind it as a punt.
No.
Only 1% owned.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll move on to Aston Villa, who double in 33 and play Southampton in 32. Although, as we've said, it's impossible, really, to recommend buying them this week.
I can recommend buying this week. Buy someone who doesn't start tonight, basically.
Yeah.
I know people might not think they'll make that many changes. I would not be completely shocked if they make 8+ changes again.
I probably come down on the side that I'm not sure they'll make that many just for sort of the Premier League. I don't know. I can see sort of 5 or 6 and then some subs.
So I think their back four will change completely again. So what did they play? They played Disassi, Mings, Matson, and Garcia. I think they'll play Konza, Pau Torres, Dean, and Matty Cash. So I think that's 4 changes straight away. Marlon will play. That's 5. One of Rashford or Asensio probably won't start. The other one will play the Prem. So that's 6 at a minimum. Then you're looking at Watkins. Is he going to play both? One of the midfielders will probably change again. Like, is Buendia available? Like, has he gone?
Did he go on loan?
Who do they have?
I'm pretty sure he went on loan.
My only thing with Villa is trying to work out who plays in place of like a Rodgers. Like Ross Barkley.
I mean, they could just chuck like Asensio behind Rashford, couldn't they? I mean, Leon Bailey's knocking about as well.
Oh yeah, he's got a knock, but
he's got a flag, but he apparently he's trained or something.
Not Buendia, sorry.
He plays for Leverkusen.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think they have the possibility to make wholesale changes here. And if they start tonight, I don't think you can buy them. I think it's as straightforward as that, unless they get booked. And it's Rashford.
Dean getting booked would be interesting because if Dean got booked tonight, there's potential I could buy him over Bradley. But
yeah, but then you've got the double before an FA Cup semi-final.
Yeah.
And then let's say it looks like they might go through, you've then got the issue further down the line as well. So yeah, of course, if Dean or Rashford get booked, then we can have a look at it. But anyone else who starts tonight, I don't think I'd buy.
No. But where do you see them in general, though, like minutes? I think there's probably a fair chance that Konsa starts both in the double.
Yes. Yeah, I would say so. Particularly given the games.
Yeah, tough games.
Like, they've got games which are really important for their top 4, top 5 hopes. Newcastle, City. Like, if they win both of those, they'll be in the top 5. Like, they'll be bang in it. If they lose both of them, they'll be cut adrift. So, to be honest, if they get beat well tonight, the double is more important to them than that other PSG game. Because those are 2 games that are absolutely huge for Villa.
Yeah.
And where they finish. So I don't worry too much about the double. Which is why when you add that into it, plus the FA Cup semi-final, all of those games, PSG second leg, the double again of massive games, and then an FA Cup semi-final. Yeah. Like, this is it. Like Lewis GT is saying in the chat, like, they could put out a front 4 against Southampton that's Ramsey, Leon Bailey, Doniel Marlin, plus 1 more. And then in the Champions League, they play Rodgers, Rashford, Asensio, Watkins.
Yeah, I get it, and it's probably likely. But I also say, like, when do teams ever actually change, like, 10 players?
Well, they changed 8 at the weekend.
Fair. But was that... Yeah. But was that in preparation? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, then, yeah, but I don't think Rashford and Asensio will start tonight. I think only one of them will. Because I think McGinn will play. So if one of them doesn't start, then you can have a look at them.
But then where are you in the double? Like, you probably want to start in the double, aren't you?
Long term, Rodgers is the best. I think he's more safe than Watkins.
Just outside of that, next week, yeah. Just buy Rodgers next week.
Yeah. The punt would probably be Rashford. But again, you'd need to see the minutes tonight. Rodgers is the safest, but I don't think even he's safe for Southampton.
Yeah, let's see what happens tonight. If Rashford was up front tonight and Watkins was on the bench,
then you could go Watkins. But then again, for the double,
lost his place for the double,
has he lost his place? Yeah. Villa. I think Villa are the hardest team to decide to buy in, because I think there's so many options. They did such good business in January. There are so many options, and they're all so good.
Yeah.
But
defenders, though, is the one. If you had to sort of buy, if you're bench boosting 33 and you were buying this week for whatever reason, you probably got a chance Konsa, haven't you?
Yeah, it's either Konza or Luka Dean, and just taking the gamble on it.
Yeah.
Because he's definitely first choice, but and the thing is with Konza, like he came on, which was a bit of a surprise, but Luka Dean didn't. So I don't mind the Luka Dean punt. He's only 0.1 more now than Konza.
Yeah, but yeah.
And he scored more points than him, despite like less minutes. So
Who did
part of
he
me
play?
would.
Did he play Matson against Chelsea? I've just seen Dean didn't. Yeah, so he's not afraid to play
Yeah.
Matson. Could he chuck Matson in for Newcastle?
Yeah, like
That's
it's
the
not
thing.
impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And like there have been a
Rodgers and
few other
Konsa.
Luka Deans where he's got like 45 minutes. He played 45 minutes against Wolves. He played 45 minutes against Ipswich. He did the same against Arsenal. Yeah. Like he did the same against Wolves earlier on in the season. So what's that? 45-minute subs plus a handful of games he didn't start.
Mm.
Yeah. It's probably enough risk that I'd probably just go Konza. But I do ask the question if you even bother. Like,
Yeah,
is
I mean,
Conor
I'm
Bradley
not.
a better
That's
buy?
the thing. I'm not. I went for Wan-Bissaka and Bradley probably instead of Villa because I mean, do you really think they'll keep a clean sheet in the double? That's another
No.
question. So what's the
No,
point
not
in getting
really.
Konsa then?
Yeah, part of I did it because they might double 36. So I was like, well, if they double, and I'll just take the 4 fixtures from Konsa and he'll probably score 6 points across the 4 games, but it will be what it will be. But yeah, I agree. Like in 33 in isolation, I probably would rather have a Wan-Bissaka, a Conor Bradley than Konsa.
Yeah. So yeah,
I just didn't see where to go when I bought him. I wish there was someone more obvious.
Yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, so Rodgers is the one, and I guess Isak to Watkins will probably tempt a few next week. But we'll have to
We've
see.
got to be sure of his minutes though.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And then I could bench boost Bowen without you arguing.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. Moving on to Palace. We discussed Palace rotation a little bit, so maybe we don't need to rehash that. But I think the three, I mean, it's Mateta, Munoz without doubt, and then it's Sarvi, Eze, isn't it?
I think it's 3 of the 4. I think you could go double attack if you've got the space. I do like Munoz, but I don't love the fixtures for him.
You mean triple attack?
Triple attack, sorry. You could go like Mateta, and I saw some people do it, Mateta, Sarr, Eze. Like, I don't mind it. If you've gone Henderson, you've gone Henderson. But outside of that, you know, you're sticking with those 4 probably. Sarr versus Eze, if you could make the swap now. Like, if you're on wildcard again, excluding the points they've scored, would you change your mind based off what we know?
I don't think so, you know. I don't think so. And I'm going to bring up some stats on the...
Yeah, Oscar Focal in the chat went triple attack. He's put in the strong arm emoji, forgetting that Munoz matched Eze this week. But anyway,
Munoz is just the best defender in the game. Like,
you've got Glasner as well, actually, for those of you on assistant manager as well.
Yeah.
So that's a question. We'll save the assistant manager chat for the end, but if you had to sell one of them to go for the assistant manager, surely I'd sell Munoz before I sold my midfielder.
I mean, yes, but it depends who. Like, you could get like Barnes or Murphy or someone and keep Munoz, but where are you going from Munoz? Like, constantly.
That's the thing.
You've already
Would I
covered
rather
off
do
the defenders.
Munoz to Konza or Sarr to Rodgers to free up the Glasner spot?
Definitely should go. Well, I mean, probably not Rodgers this week. If it was Murphy, you didn't have Murphy, it would be easy.
Yeah. Yeah, but I feel like most people are already on triple Newcastle. I still think I'd go Sarr.
Yeah, I agree. And I've put up some
save the
data
money
on screen from a scout tweet today. So last 6 game weeks, 5 big chances for Sarr, none for Eze. They've both created 2 big chances. Sarr has had 18 shots to Eze's 7, and Sarr has more than doubled Eze's XGI.
When did that XGI come? Because it hasn't been while he's been in my team.
No, the last 2 weeks he hasn't done anything.
Ipswich and Villa, he put up over 3 XG combined in those 2 games and then hasn't done anything since. That is the only issue with Sarr. You will get games where he goes completely missing.
Yeah.
from an FPL point of view, but he's also more likely like to hit a 17 pointer, like a 13 pointer, like a 15 and 11, like he's done this season. I feel like.
But like Eze's numbers at the weekend, he got 2 assists off 0.02 xG XA.
Yeah.
Like, whereas he almost got the same as Saar, who got 0.01. So.
Yeah, that's true. He had double the. He had 0.01 XA more than Saar, yet picked up 2 assists.
Yeah, I mean, the assists were. Yeah, I mean, Mateta's goal was unbelievable. Like, it's one of those assists, but I wouldn't swap them. I think in a double game week as well, I think Saar could rack up points.
I also think a few things in the chat. So Nikolai, and FPL Robles is saying Saar is explosive and Saar enjoys playing some of these teams. I think there is something to be said about those teams like City where they're not going to have as much of the ball. They're going to play on the break a little bit. It feels like it suits Saar. Now, I might be trying to create a little bit of a narrative, but also Saar feels more likely to play 90 in every game than Eze does. So,
yeah.
Sri C in the chat saying Eze is the talisman. I wonder when the analysis is done in the summer if Mateta will be the talisman now for Palace.
I mean, you can spin it however you like, but Eze's got 3 assists in 8 games and no goals.
He hasn't scored since game week 19, and before then, he hadn't scored since game week 3.
He scored 2 goals all season. 2 goals in 24 starts this season. That's pretty poor, really.
I would go Saar, I still think, and I definitely wouldn't move between them.
Yeah, 100%. And also, Eze's fitness, like, would it shock you if Glasner said he can't play the second game? He does seem to sort of...
It's just like...
come down with something every now and then.
When we're talking about that Arsenal game before the FA Cup semi-final, if I told you one of that front 3 was going to miss out, you'd probably say Eze is the most likely to do it.
And then probably Mateta. I'd say Saar is probably the most
agree.
nailed.
I would say Saar is the most likely.
Yeah, so definitely wouldn't swap.
Yeah.
And then, there's not really anything. Mateta and Munoz are easy picks, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's move on to Arsenal, who double in 33. Brentford at home this week. Ipswich and Palace in 33. 3-0 up against Madrid. Getting nervous in this corner of London, that's for sure.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
That only team in London chant could be on its last legs. Hopefully not.
Then we'll just sing we've won it all if we win the Conference League instead.
Yeah, the only team in London with a Conference League.
Yeah.
But so there's people, the Twitter narrative is taking hold that there's going to be 10 changes this weekend. I don't know how I feel about that necessarily. I think someone like Saliba, I can't really see why he wouldn't play. I don't know what you think.
I think Raya and Saliba both play.
I mean, who else has to play? I mean, one of Lewis Skelly or Timber has to play. I know, I suppose Tierney could play, but...
Tierney could play.
Be a big
Ben
shout.
White can play.
Would be a big shout if Tierney came in.
It could, but the Prem is kind of over for them.
True. Doesn't one of their front 3 have to start again because there's no Havertz? Or
who played midweek? It was Marino, Saka, Martinelli. So it could be Sterling, Wanyeri, Trossard.
I forgot about Sterling. There you go.
It could be the same as they did at the weekend again. It feels like Villa.
Yeah. What about Saka
Villa.
though? What about starting or benching Saka? Do you think?
I moved him to my bench after last night.
Yeah, instead of.
Well, I think I've put him below Foden, which doesn't say a lot, but I've actually put back 4 in my team at the moment. Do
you think I should play Bowen over Saka?
Away at Liverpool.
Bowen going at Robertson? I don't know. Also, we should actually say that Saka did limp off, and the quote is, Arteta said he's fine, he just took a knock on the free kick. So he obviously got a bruise or something. Arteta said he's fine, I think it was a kick on the free kick action.
Yeah. He didn't, so I've watched it back, and that quote that he said he thinks he's fine is not a quote, he didn't say it. He said he got a kick on the free kick, I don't think it's anything serious, is what he said. Like, I watched it back and I was like,
What
where
did you
has he
watch
said
back?
he's
Was
fine?
this
The interview on the post-match on YouTube.
because this quote on the Scout website is from Amazon Prime, it says.
Oh, maybe it was different then. Maybe we only got part of it.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen a clip of that quote saying he's fine. But we expect him to be fine. I still don't think he's necessarily going to start though.
Yeah. No, that's annoying. Yeah. So how deep are you going to bench him? Like, who would you be playing over him to? Like, if you've got Rodgers, would you play him over Saka? If you've got, I don't know, what defenders? I mean, who have you played over him in defence?
I've played Gavardio, Munoz, and double Forest at the moment.
Okay, yeah, so Forest defender, yeah. Did you play Rodgers over Saka? That's an absolute good luck with
yes.
that.
Well, this is the issue. Like, this is why, and a lot of people are looking at a bench boost this week and reconsidering it, because if you've got, let's say you've got Foden, Rodgers, Saka in your midfield and Konsa in your defence, and you want a bench boost.
Yeah.
I'm not a bench boost in that.
Yeah.
I don't think.
No.
So would I play Saka or Rodgers? Before the game tonight, given I expect Rodgers to start and play 90, I'd probably play... Saka did look so good last night. I watched him and I was like, he looks at it. I thought he looked really good. So I'd probably play Saka over Rodgers. Versus Foden, I don't know. I've got to make that decision.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Decision for me as well, I guess, with Bowen.
Elsewhere on Arsenal...
You're not buying this week is probably the first thing to say.
Yeah.
You've got to wait.
Yeah.
You've got to wait.
I just think that's it.
So would you, if you want to do Gabriel to Saliba, you need a defender, you know that's what you want. Are you happy with that?
I think that's fine. I still don't think I'd do it this week.
Okay.
Looking at pretty much everyone's defences, I don't think you need to do it this week against Brentford.
If that was the final piece on your bench boost, would you feel confident doing it?
What, Saliba? I do think Saliba plays. I do think I'm less confident about this game than probably every game so far this season on Saliba, but I still think he plays.
Yeah, I agree. Just purely because Gabriel's out, like, who would it actually have to be? And then because it would be Timber would have to start again to put White at centre-back.
Yeah, exactly.
And Timber had cramp, so... Yeah. Speaking of centre-backs, what about Kivior for 33?
Yeah, I think Kivior's got to be interesting now. Playing Madrid, played very well. I feel like that's just what he's going to go with.
And he's the
Kivior
only
or
left-footed centre-back. Would he play Saliba and White at centre-back?
I don't think so. If he's trusted him against Real Madrid and he's kept a clean sheet, I think he will trust him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's definitely in the first-choice team. I suppose just rotation. Like, could you...
Yeah.
If he plays Brentford,
possible.
If he plays Brentford, plays Madrid, could he go out against Ipswich?
The other thing to add with these Arsenal players is if they get through, you then have the whole issue again later down the line.
Yeah.
Bournemouth at home in game week 35 is in between the two Champions League matches again. I am much more positive on Kivior after last night, though. I still wouldn't buy this week.
Would you... Yeah, I suppose I probably will buy Saliba just because of... I can, but would you... Like, if you're looking at somebody who maybe is looking at Bradley or something for that bench boost in 33, would you recommend Kivior? You'd feel confident recommending Kivior?
I think I would. I'd rather buy Kivior than Timber, I think.
Yeah. Lewis Skelly?
He was good last night again.
England's left back.
Kid looks really good. Really, really good. Probably not, though.
Actually, hang on. He's a midfielder. So
he's a midfielder, yeah.
I was thinking, how did he get 3 points against Chelsea? That's...
Yeah.
All right, okay, well, we'll park that. Yeah, so to sum up, I guess...
Raya, Saliba, outside of that, don't bother this week. And I wouldn't even buy Saliba this week if you've still held Gabriel.
Okay, yeah, so you'd wait a week. What about Saka for 33? Say he's benched. I mean, you're never going to sell him, are you, before a double? But
No.
if he was benched Brentford, he plays 90 at Real Madrid.
You just play him in the double. You hope for an appearance off the bench and a start against Palace, or 2 starts. Like, I think it's slightly more confusing if you don't own him.
Yeah.
Because if you've got Palmer, and then you're selling Palmer to Saka, that's where it's a little bit more confusing. Because again, you'll have the issue of 35, but I still think I would do it. I still think I would rather, like, he's going to get, 120 across the double, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I still want him. He's the second best captain option that week, if not the best. So, yeah, I still want him.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Cool. So we are on to the final team. Man City, we've been going 50 minutes, so we'll probably look 15 more minutes. Man City, most people have Gvardiol.
Yeah.
I think he's still the best defender, and I saw you tweeted about his bonus point situation.
Yeah.
Because they're playing midfielders in defence, and they're not scoring masses of goals, so he looks good for bonus, even though it's obviously a shame he's not playing left back now.
So while he's at centre back, he's actually better for bonus, but the issue is now is I think Akanji is back, and you've got Kushinov as well. So he'll probably go back to left back, which is good from an attacking point of view, but slightly worse for his bonus. But like, I don't see any reason with the money that we've all got to not own Gvardiol and Marmoush at the moment.
I'm not. Are you sure Akanji's back? I'm not sure about that. He's still. It says on the website. It says he's red flagged till the end of April.
I'm sure I heard. Let's have a look.
But yeah, I mean, regardless, he's going to start, isn't he? But it's just.
Oh. I'm sure I saw.
FPL main road saying 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh.
So, and that was 2 days ago.
One of the podcasts I was listening to this morning. Oh, he's still a few weeks away, but fine. It's whether Kushinov comes back in at centre back, which I'm surprised he's dropped out, but
he seems to like O'Reilly at the minute.
And Gvardiol at centre back. But anyway, whether he's playing left back or centre back, I still don't see any reason not to own
for sure.
Gvardiol and Marmoush.
Yeah.
It's where you go outside of that, and they have a double, so we'll all want a third one.
Yeah, I might swerve it, that's the thing.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
It's just because, in my situation, I'm looking for a defender. Or I go Savinho over Rodgers, but I don't think I would do that either.
Oh, it was on the wire. People are saying in the chat. Just let's see what Pep's got to say on Akanji on Friday, because he might not be back. I apologise. Yeah.
What about double defence? Do you think I should be looking at Diaz over Saliba, for example?
I don't mind it actually because of the long-term longevity of it. Like, it's useful after 34. Like, Wolves at home, Southampton away, Bournemouth at home. Like, they are good long-term picks.
Yeah.
Like, if City double in 36, I may well do Raya to Edison. Like, it's not impossible. We look at
always
going
finish
Edison
the season with Edison.
Always. Like, it's just a rite of passage. So, no, I don't mind the double defence. Savinho's the one that still, I think, is probably the best. And I know he didn't play at all.
So you think that was a game specific?
Yeah. Pep has done weird things in certain games, and I think that Man United game was one of them. I have no idea what he was thinking. He just put players in places they shouldn't have been for that game. I think he was worried about the game. I think he'll take a point from that. But when, he is really reliable normally for Savinho. He's nice and cheap, so the risk isn't there that much.
Yeah, it was seven starts in a row before Man United.
Nothing. Why was De Bruyne playing? I know he just announced his retirement or his move from City, but why was De Bruyne starting that game? He didn't look on it. He had to play other players in positions to help facilitate De Bruyne being on the pitch. With a striker like Marmoush, you've got to have a really mobile number 10 behind them who can overlap with him. And De Bruyne didn't do that while sticking Foden wide at top. Yeah. I don't think we see that consistently. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, De Bruyne is not going to... Yeah, you'd have to question if De Bruyne started another game, really.
Yeah.
It's just so far away
until
from
we
that
get
first
to
choice team.
I fully expect he'll start Bournemouth at home in game week 27 and game week 37, his last home game. Almost certain he'll start that.
I mean, if they're not,
unless it's still up for grabs in the top four, then maybe. But
how are you feeling on Foden though? His other number 10 rival.
Yeah, not great. So when I bought Foden in game week 30, I was like, oh, who's going to play number 10? Surely it has to be Foden. Turns out Grealish and De Bruyne are both more likely to start at number 10 than Foden is, which I just didn't see coming at all. My prediction of minutes on my wildcard with Konza, Saka, Foden, even a few of the others, to be honest, like Mateta has just played much less minutes than I thought he would. But anyway, yeah, I'm worried, but I still think he's their best available number 10.
Yeah. Do you think Pep agrees with you?
Don't think so.
I mean, he was hooked on 57 against United.
Yeah, there's this
didn't start
stuff
Leicester,
that apparently had a slight
Brighton,
kick.
Didn't start Spurs.
And that's why. Yeah, but all of those were while Haaland was still available, to be fair.
Yeah. It's tricky, though. I mean, you're obviously not selling him, but to make a case to buy, like...
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't buy him now. But I'm almost certain I'll hold for the double.
Yeah.
And City are the early kickoff. Palace at home. Might be weak defensively. If there was news on Twitter that Foden started Palace at home, I'd play him. I'd play him this week because I need that 11th player.
Yeah.
But I think there's too much risk.
Yeah. Just briefly, Edison against Raya.
I don't think there's that much in it now.
I guess if you've got Gavardio and Saliba, who would you double up on? Who would you prefer?
Edison.
Yeah, for the long term.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think so. The fixtures for Arsenal after the double are just not that great. Yeah. Like Bournemouth at home, Liverpool away, Newcastle at home. Okay, then Southampton on the final day, but yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. And yeah, there's not really much else. Doku seems to fall away a little bit.
It's Gavardio, Savinho, and whether you go for another one in Edison, Foden.
Gavardio, Marmoush.
Or Savinho is the third. Yeah.
Yeah, that will make sense.
Cool.
Yeah, so we will reveal our teams, but first we've got a quick message from our friends at NordVPN who are sponsoring this video, the final of 3 episodes from them in this run, so thank you very much for their support. So this episode of FPL Burning Questions is brought to you by our friends at NordVPN. Have you ever tried to watch a show while travelling and it's blocked, or worried about your data on public Wi-Fi networks? When you're out enjoying the sunshine in coffee shops, supermarkets, etc., that's where NordVPN comes in. When I use it, and I do use it regularly, it keeps my connection secure on questionable networks. What it does, it hides your real IP address, so no one tracks your every move. It creates an encrypted tunnel so hackers can't steal your details, and it keeps your passwords and credit card info safe. So when you're doing transactions out and about, it keeps you safe from people who want to know what you're up to. And the second part, another thing that I use it for when I'm on holiday, people like Sonaldo all over the world, wishing him well wherever he is at the minute. Hopefully, I think he got a green arrow this week, didn't he? So that's good. But yeah, so for all you, I think he did. Because he scored more than me, I'm pretty sure.
That's how you know. Yeah, he did. He got 57.
Yeah, big up Sonaldo. I'm sure he uses a VPN getting around all the Asian countries that he works in. So you can access your home content from anywhere, essentially bypassing censorship and getting you back to your favorite shows that you're watching at the minute. You just connect to a server in your desired country and then you're sorted. You can watch all your favorite streaming services no matter where you're around the world. So if you want to stream securely and protect your privacy online, NordVPN's got your back. It covers you, your partner, and your family, so 10 devices on one account. So just one subscription sorts you out there. And for privacy, security, smooth streaming, click the link in the description for an exclusive discount. And there's no reason not to do it because there's a 30-day money-back guarantee as well. So please check out the link in the description.
Andy got a green arrow.
Love that.
First time in the top million. Here we go, Andy.
He's on his way up.
Yeah, 880k. Flying. That's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 9 green arrows.
2 million to 900k.
Yeah.
It's good
flying.
stuff. It's good stuff.
Good stuff.
What's he doing this week?
I haven't looked at his team.
Probably triple captain. Anyway, speaking of teams, we will look at Harry's team for 32. He has got Raya, Gvardiol, Williams, Munoz, Milenkovic, Murphy, Sarr, Salah, Mateta, Isak, Marmoush, Eddie Howe as their assistant manager. Currently benching Foden, Saka and Concert. In a normal week, that would be a bench boost there. But
it would. Yeah. I have to make a decision on who those 10th and 11th players are for me this week. It could be Foden, it could be Saka. I'm almost certain it won't be Konza because I really think they'll change their back four again. So I'm almost certain it won't be Konza. So Foden, Saka could both come in. It could be Gvardiol, Williams, Milenkovic are the three that in theory could drop out. 6 attackers we've got on the pitch are definitely going to play. Isak's definitely going to be my captain. Eddie Howe is definitely going to be my assistant manager. So yeah, it's just if Foden or Saka want to start over any of those 3 defenders with a single game week, basically. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've swapped it back about 3 or 4 times today, trying to work out who it's going to be. But I don't particularly want to start a back four, and I mean, part of me doesn't want to start Forest.
Obviously, you're swapping, aren't you? So
yeah, I'd probably just sort of hedge a little bit. I'd bench one of the Forest defenders. I'd probably bench Milenkovic, I think, and play Williams and play Gvardiol. But part of me wants to go against Gvardiol with the double Forest defence because I've got triple Palace. I think Palace score away at City, in which case I should bench Gvardiol. But I'm not sure it feels completely sensible doubling up on Forest, who do look a little bit more fragile recently.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And Saka, do you think, I mean, we're likely to get news. You think you're just going to leave it?
The only situation I feel like I'd play Saka is if we got news, is if I don't want to play a back four. That's the issue. Like, I really don't. I don't like the look of it. I don't like the feel of it. And I'm going up against Palmer at home to Ipswich with a Forest centre-back. Like, it just feels horrible. So part of me feels, even if he plays 30, he looked so good the other night, maybe I could just play, even if Foden... I want to start one of Foden or Saka, basically.
Yeah.
And if Foden isn't going to start, then I'm like, do I just chance Saka and hope he plays 30, 40 or plays 60? But I think the sensible thing to do if we don't get any news is to play a back four.
Interesting, yeah. And just finally, there's a question from the chat, Sells or Martinez? You've talked about Forest, we've talked about Villa. Who would you start, Sells or Martinez?
Probably Martinez. Oh, sorry, Sells. Bench Martinez.
Yeah.
I think.
And then, yeah, you've got Howe there. That's good. Double game week. Your rough plan for that next week is Arteta?
Arteta, yeah. That's the plan.
Cool. And Captain Isak, definitely.
I can't see myself moving it. No. If there was someone else, like if Mateta had a better home, like if let's say he had Newcastle away and, I don't know, West Ham at home. Apologies, West Ham fans. It's just, or Brentford at home, or someone like else at home.
Yeah.
Then maybe I'd consider it. I just can't. I just don't love the double nearly enough.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool.
So something I'm learning with the assistant manager, and everyone else probably had it earlier on in the season. It's a really weird thing to have, to try and work out what you want from the game. Because like Isak, I didn't captain Isak, right, and I didn't have a Newcastle defender. So part of me wanted Newcastle to concede, but then Eddie Howe loses 2 points. So I have to try and work out if that's good for me. Isak goals get me a point, but also he's not my captain. I'm trying to work it out as every single thing happens in that game, exactly what I want. It just feels weird. Feels weird. Anyway, he got me 11, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, I think because it's so big, like you get a 10-point haul, it's always going to be worth, because it's better than a clean sheet and better than a Isak goal, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
Cool. So moving on to my team, I've got Raya, Munoz, Gvardiol, Trippier, Saka, Murphy, Sarr, Salah, Marmoush, Mateta, and triple captain Isak. I haven't got any benching headaches this week with my West Ham triple up against Liverpool and Gabriel injured. There's a few things. I'm currently on 2 free transfers, so I could, I guess, looking ahead, I'm going to bench boost next week. So I will need to sell Gabriel either to Bradley or Dorgu for my bench boost. So I guess could you do it this week and bench Gvardiol or Saka? I guess you could.
I don't think that's worth it. No, I think Bowen is close enough. If you don't want to play Saka, I think I'd just play Bowen.
Yeah. So I guess the decision between Bowen and Saka.
Yeah.
Do you got any strong feelings on that?
I'm just checking Bowen's minutes recently.
I'm pretty minded to play Saka, to be honest.
Yeah, like he's got 3 returns in the past 5, and there's 0 bonus to show for it.
I think with Bowen though, you're never surprised if he scores. You're not going to be surprised, are you?
As soon as it's one of those players, as soon as that West Ham goal notification goes off, you expect it to be Bowen.
Yeah. He scored he scored at Arsenal, scored at Chelsea,
and 10 pointers to go with it as well.
Yeah.
I think if we don't think Saka starts when the deadline comes around, I would bench Saka, because even Bowen 90 against Liverpool is better than Saka for 30 against Brentford.
Yeah, and then triple captain Isak would be my...
Yeah, I would do it, because you'll bench boost next week.
Yeah, no, easy decision. With the vice on Mateta. Yeah. So yeah, that's been a long episode, but I think that just about wraps everything up. I think we've nailed down all the best doublers. I think we've nailed down the Villa starting 11 for the next 4 matches.
Yep. I can tell you with so much confidence exactly who it's going to be, and it's going to be who doesn't play tonight. So keep an eye on the Villa lineup tonight, and Chelsea, of course, tomorrow as well.
Yeah, we'll have to... Rodgers will be his first Premier League benching this weekend if he gets benched.
Has he actually not benched once?
I'm pretty sure he started every single game. No, he's missed out on suspension. But yeah, he's started every game he's available for.
Oh, in game week 20?
Yeah, against Leicester, do you remember?
Oh, he got the suspension in his final game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't own him, and I was really happy that he didn't play Leicester.
Yeah. There seems to be something about him that Emery just cannot drop, but we'll see. It will be tested this weekend.
You wait for Ross Barkley to start on Saturday.
Oh yeah, good player. Chelsea memories. Anyway, okay.
Right.
Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. We'll have Scoutcast tonight, Q&A tomorrow, Team News Friday with me and Neil. Mm-hmm. So stay tuned for that. Do like, subscribe, check out NordVPN in the link in the description. There's a money back guarantee off that if you don't like it, so do check it out. And Harry, thank you very much for your time. Thanks. Of luck. Minutes.
Good luck this weekend.
Yeah. Have fun. And I look forward to your panic tweets every time there's a Villa substitution.
Well, it won't impact me because what, tonight
Yeah.
or on
You were
Saturday?
like, that's Rashford starting when he's off.
Yeah. I'll be predicting it based exactly of when they go off tonight. Yeah.
All right. Best of luck for the weekend, guys. Thank you very much.